morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our today's CC Webinar Live keynote and knowledge sharing session, sponsored by Noble. Great to have you here and thank you for joining. Now, I would like to invite our moderator, CC Ambassador Eric van Stockholm, to introduce our keynote speaker and panelists, and later on to moderate this session. Dear audience, please use the chat box to address your questions to our keynote speaker or panelists during the session. That's it from me now. Eric, over to you.
Thank you so much, and big thanks to the Care community team in Berlin, Aurelia. Thank you so much. So welcome everybody, and good to have you here again with us. Care Community Webinar Live. Today we have 28th of October and it's 3 o'clock CET. We're going to discuss a couple of things. We have a fantastic panel lined up for you guys. We have a keynote presentation. So keep on tuned into us and stay with us for the coming hours. So again, welcome and thank you for joining. We're going to discuss today how do the operators actually face the increasing threat of fraud in the wholesale business, and we're happy because it's this session is sponsored by Nobel. So we're going to discuss about the fraud, what are the solutions, what's out there, the challenges, and what's there next to expect, as if we can discuss it now, but you never know. Why? Because we have the senior experts around the world in this panel lined up for you. So before we go into let's say the keynote presentation, which is done today by Alan, from the CEO from Noble, I first quickly give the floor to my fellow panelists to quickly introduce themselves and to say hi to you. So Alan, please, welcome.
Hi Eric, hi everybody. It's nice to have you here in this afternoon. My name is Alin German. I'm representing Nobel Telecom. We are doing a lot of interesting stuff this year. All the divisions that are we considered as being innovative started to deliver more on the plate of the company, and I'm really looking forward for the discussion, Eric.
Thank you so much, Alan. And I think from Romania, let's go to Paris. Malik.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. Hi, everybody. My pleasure to share with you this hour of discussion about a very key and important matter. My name is Malik Aisi. I'm based in Paris. I'm the VP Business Assurance and Risk Management, Service Management at A-Basis. A-Basis is a global carrier wholesaler that has been powered by Tofan. And since 2018, 19, and 20, we are growing and acquiring more and more operators. Last one was Nosh in Portugal in 2020. And in terms of magnitude, we are conveying around 30 billion minutes per year. And the strategy is to consolidate in the wholesale voice, and then investing a lot in data, IoT, in digitalization. So my pleasure here to share with you whatever. And thank you again, Eric, and introducing myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malik, and happy to have you. So actually, we're going now all the way south to Nairobi in Kenya. Andrew, hi there.
Hi Eric. And in Nairobi they say habari. Habari just means hello. Nice to be on this session to share experiences. I'm Andrew from Safaricom, a technology leader within Safaricom. Safaricom is a 20-year-old company that offers telecommunication services and also carrier and enterprise services right from Nairobi. And it's famous for financial services. If you've heard about mobile money transfer, M-Pesa, Safaricom is the home where it's actually quite scaled out. So in this session, we'll be discussing quite a bit, and I'm happy to share experiences and interact and chat with our audience and see what is happening across the globe as well. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, and Arieli to you as well, and good to have you. Thank you so much. So then let's go all the way east over the Indian Ocean, and I think we go to Nicholas to Indonesia. Welcome, Nicholas.
Thank you, Eric. It's good to be here sharing in today's session. So my name is Nicholas Su. I'm responsible for the voice and mobility portfolio for Talent Indonesia. Now, Talent is founded in 2007. We are 100% subsidiary of PT Telkom, which is the incumbent mobile operators in Indonesia. We're serving over 200 million retail subscribers, basically from mobile to fixed line to broadband out of Indonesia. So, yeah, so we are excited in this industry right now. We have something very interesting coming up matter of time. So I hope to be able to share a little bit more during the session today. Over to
Nicholas,
you,
thank you so much, and thank you for your introduction. So, guys out there, we have let's say half of the world lined up for you, with all senior experts from Europe, from Africa, and from Asia. So again, welcome, and to my fellow panelists, it's an honor having you. So thank you very much for joining. So as Aurelia mentioned already in the introduction, gentlemen, and also for the audience, you can have your questions, put them in the chat box, and we will invert them into our discussion later on. So thank you already in advance for that. Now, also as mentioned, let's first, before we go into the panel discussion with the panelists, we will have a keynote speaker, and today it's done by Alan Gurman, the CEO of Noble. So Alan, it's what are you going to discuss with us today within the fraud? What's your topic?
Well, let's let the audience find out. I will be pretty short, given the fact that around the table we have such a high caliber list of colleagues and dear business partners of ours. I would love to have enough room for the discussions, so I'll be pretty short. I want this to be rather a debate and a platform for sharing ideas rather than a presentation. I just will go shortly and to introduce you on what we Nobel are bringing on the table when we are talking about revenue assurance solutions and fraud, and how we consider that we can all work together in order to get to the end and curtail the fraud that is happening in our industry. So
okay, perfect. So please take it away, and please share the knowledge with us. Thank you, Alan.
So just a bit of background on our company. We were founded in '98. We started as a retail calling card type of business in US. We still have 24,000 distribution points on the market. We are one of the last standing calling card type of business enterprise in US, and we plan to be in the market as long as the market will exist. We are also doing wholesale carrier services. We are running like 6 billion minutes. If these two parts of the business are well known in the industry and to our partners, the next two ones that are developments of more recent date are not as known. We are having also a division called Noble Biz, where we are providing software and telco solutions to call center industry. We have 1,500 enterprise customers across the globe, mostly in the US. And last but not least, we have an OTT, an app called WowApp, which is counting as we speak somewhere in the range of 10 million users across the globe. All these divisions, all this ecosystem put together was allowing us to develop some tools that we believe might represent value in this day and age when we are talking about solutions in protecting the industry in the end. But before going into that one, let me ask you a question, a different question. Do you know how much the banking industry is losing yearly to fraud? Well, there are studies that Nielsen was doing a study that is showing that the banking industry loses yearly like $33 billion, $31 billion to 30 plus. Do you know how much our industry is losing? Europol statistics are saying that telco is losing more due to the fraud than the banking industry. Well, if you look at the size of the company, you cannot stop to ask how an industry which is 100 times bigger than the telco is losing less to fraud. And I think the answer here is twofold. Of course, the banking industry is much more regulated than the telco. Same time, in the banking industry, there is a platform, a body of information sharing and collaboration in such a way that a fraud once occurred, it's public knowledge, and the banking as a system, the banking system can protect against that one. Because in the end, they are doing that to protect their own customers. The value of one customer for banking industry is much higher than in telco. So I think that if we want to curtail the fraud, we should take a similar approach or a similar path. First, we as a whole ecosystem, the whole telco ecosystem, we should put our knowledge, our best tools on the table and see how we can combine them in such a way that will protect our main asset, which is our customer and his experience. It's a rhetorical question. I will not ask the fellow esteemed colleagues or participants in the conference if their company in the telco space was ever hit by any fraud. Of course, we were all at a certain point in time, we were victims of it. We, in our 22 years of being in the market, I believe we were being hit by a couple of $millions in total of different types of fraud. Well, that put us in the position of having the need to do something. So we put together our business analysts, voice specialists, data scientists, developers, and we developed the tools aimed to protect our retail traffic and aimed to protect our business as a whole. And in the end, what we realized is that some of the tools that we were creating might represent a value also for the MNO partners of ours. So, of course, everybody's having his own systems. Everybody is putting on the table different measures that are aimed to protect the network. And we don't think that we have a general solution. What we think that based on the use cases that we are tackling, which in our case is the bypass fraud and anti-spoofing, we can put those on the table up for grabs for the ecosystem in such a way that in the moment we combine all the unique features of all our systems, we might end up with something that will be able to curtail in the end the fraud. So what we are doing actually, let me put you a question. How it would be if any MNO would be able to have a system in which he will know when a call is reaching his network, he will know in real time if that call is for real or it's spoofed or it's fraud. Of course, that's an aim that everybody would like to have. Yeah? And in the moment that's happening, you will get alerts through various means, and you will also have, if you like, the possibility to have a robot which automatically blocks the spoofed call. So basically, this is the things that we are doing with our system. Using our whole ecosystem, we have a dynamic database of 10 million testing pool numbers that we can use. We emulate real organic traffic patterns in such a way that the fraudster cannot identify that somebody is testing them, and we deliver the results real-time, actionable to our MNO partners. And we put everything together in a nice BI tool, which is having a lot of extra features Like we have pattern analysis based on reinforced machine learning, and we have a lot of customization, potential customization features that are available. But okay, this is the nice theory, but how these things are really looking even when you put them in practice. I would show you 2 case studies with 2 of our partners that we are working on the project using the Nobel Shield bypass and anti-spoofing detection mechanism. One of them, it's an African operator, which more or less has 1 billion international minutes coming into the country. When we run the project with them, from all the calls that we analyzed, we realized that 40% of the minutes are terminated via SymBox, 40%, which roughly accounts for 30 million loss per year. Wouldn't be nice for any CEO or any business owner to find somewhere 30 million to add on his number just by basically doing nothing, just protecting his network? I believe that the numbers are interesting. Another interesting case in Europe this time. A small European country, just a bit more than 100 million minutes non-EA traffic per year. When we run the analysis, 85% of the minutes were spoofed. Long live Roam like home. So the numbers are high, and the potential impact on the MNOs is high. And sometimes this seems too high to be true, and we recognize that fact. So the way we are working with our partners is pretty simple. We said, okay, we have the platform, take it, test it, assess the value of it, check if the results are correct, because the numbers are in your network, so you can transparently check everything. And if you think that this can bring any value to you, then we can talk about implementation and how we will work together. And everything is easy. It's a plug and play implementation. The solution is complementary to most of the systems that our partners are using. This revenue assurance part, Nobel Shield, can be seen as as an add-on on iBasis security systems that they have. Can be seen as a feature in a platform that is providing different services to the telco industry, like Nicolas probably will tell us more about later on, or can be directly plugged in a non-intrusive way, meaning that we are not passing the firewalls of the partners with any operator. So the real question here is, how can we work together as an industry in such a way that we will take control, we start to really collaborate and share information to protect all the ecosystem, to protect our customers and curtail the fraud? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan, for your keynote presentation and sharing part of your services that you deliver for your customers. I'm just checking if there is any questions from the audience. I see you have been completely clear as always. So maybe there are some questions from the fellow panelists. I don't know. If so, then please unmute yourself and come with a question. If not, then I have a question. Alan, you've been in the business for so long, and it's an open door. I do see it. But will we ever, let's say, because the fraud is always there first, and then we come up with our platforms, our services to protect ourselves and whatever. Do you have the impression worldwide, not only from your platform and services, but as a whole, are we catching up with the fraudsters, or is it a silly question? Will we never?
Eric, one thing that I know is that you cannot fight human nature. And in the moment there will be a possibility somewhere, somehow to make some money on the expense of somebody, they will try to figure it out. So the only thing is that we need to do is to try to get smarter than the fraudster and sooner than them. And in order to do that, definitely we need collaboration within the industry.
Okay, so so partnership will be, let's say, one solution next to, let's say, the software and the tools we are having, and be more aware and make it as difficult as possible. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, yes. Each and every one of us are having its own skills, competencies, creativity to develop something. And if you put everything together, probably we'll get something that none of us can do or develop by its own.
No, I absolutely, I do agree. And let's so thank you very much for sharing your keynote presentation with us and with the audience. And let's get the guys in here as well. So let me say a big thank you and welcome again to Malik, to Andrew, and to Nicholas. So guys, if you would like to join the presentation, sorry, the session now. And then maybe Nicholas, I have a question for you, because we saw what's happening in Africa. We saw what's, you know, the spoofing, which as an example from Alan in Europe. What do you see in Asia or in the Pacific region, or which fraud scenarios are popular over there? Is it the same, or are they different, or what can you tell us about that?
It's pretty much the same that you see in Africa, in Europe, and in Asia. So, you know, I think the fraudsters are not very picky in the region where they would go after. I think they could pretty much go after anywhere that is vulnerable in that aspect. From our perspective as an operator, Telkomsel, you know, we have a very large customer subscriber base out there. And as we all know, in the wholesale industry, the margins are obviously under a lot of pressure, you know, the revenues under pressure. And, you know, we do, because Indonesia as a inbound country, as they're more inbound than outbound, we do work on the operator to operator scheme in that respect to encourage retail traffic from the operator, you know, from calling in. Now, while it's all good and dandy, we do see as a result of fraudsters, whether it's deliberate or not so deliberate, you have the A number manipulation coming in. So, you know, sometimes you would call it reverse SIM bypass, as what Alan would have explained in his presentation. I think that is something that, you know, kind of break down the trust level between operators and wholesalers in general. I mean, I always want to say this, that not all wholesale operators are created equal, to put it that way. Some, let's leave it as that for now. You know, it's not always equal. You know, trust can be broken at times. And when it does, obviously, you know, it leads to a relationship being challenged, right? And obviously it leads to revenue and margin losses. You know, for example, if someone uses a SIM card from the originating country where, you know, as an operator work with, for example, and those traffic coming in from that country where we offer a special, you know, kind of operator scheme, we lost those traffic that supposedly is coming out from a different country, but it kind of came through a local promotional rate from that country. So we do see this quite active out there. And I believe this is not a unique problem that Indonesia or anywhere in Asia experience. I think this is a pretty general statement. I would say that a lot of countries in, you know, different part of the world would see the same thing.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas. Andrew, in Africa, because of course Safaricom is a huge player in Africa. Do you see, let's say, the same? You know, is let's say the artificial traffic, so the A number manipulation, is it one of the, let's say, one of the biggest fraud scenarios you're seeing there, which is still, let's say, popular in Africa as well, or do you see also do you also have other examples?
Thanks for that question, Eric. And what we tend to see tends to be common all over the world. In my experience, even checking what is happening in America, in Europe, in Asia, it's pretty much similar to Africa. And actually, when you look at Africa, there is a special kind of problem when you look at it, because most of the customers are actually prepaid customers. And another fraud which comes in is the Wangiri fraud. I'm sure we are all very familiar with it. I've actually used the name that is used out there. And what tends to happen, and I'll give you the impact to the customer. This is a prepaid customer. Perhaps they have disposable income of about $1 or $2 to spend in a day. And that's what they've loaded up airtime. Now you can imagine Wangiri type of a robocall actually coming in and wiping out all they have budgeted for to use in that day. So it's actually quite a serious issue. And at the end of the day, most of the operators end up being called thieves. So you've ended up losing on revenue, basically on the carrier side. Your customers are not happy with you. And basically it becomes a cycle where you're trying to track it. And perhaps even as you're on that point and looking at most operations in Africa and perhaps all over the globe, there's an aspect that has been brought about investment. Now, what is happening is that most of these activities, some of them are actually coming from the dark and deep web, which means the Tor networks are actually investing dollars of billions, because the revenue, like Aline pointed out, it's a revenue that is actually growing by the day. And the interesting thing is that there's a use for it. Actually, so long as you see a service up and running, there must be demand for it. So there's equal investment happening in this arena. And the target actually is across the globe. If you look at the patterns of how robocalls actually come up, it's targeted to everyone across the globe. And basically the person who responds, it's a lucky bet, or like they say, they've hit the jackpot. So when you look at it from that perspective, then it's a challenge, especially to operators and wholesale carriers. How much are you investing to stop this fraud as a business, as a whole community? There was a statistic shown between banks and telecommunication providers. And actually the other way to look at it would be the investment put in terms of cybersecurity to counter what is happening in the dark and deep web. So looking at it from that perspective, then the challenge is global. There's quite a bit of money at stake commercially. There's also the aspect of the use case for the customer, because if you don't address the customer's need, they'll find someone, whether legal or illegal, to actually meet that need. Then that comes in. And finally, just to cap it off, is the investment put in. And now we are seeing a lot of things like artificial intelligence and machine learning. When I look at some of the methods that are used globally, especially the ones provided to wholesale carriers, you'd still see a carrier would claim that they have mechanisms to stop. However, when you get complaints from your customers, some of these things are actually getting through. So that also forces mobile operators, especially in Africa and globally, even as I read it, to also deploy their own mechanisms. So in this respect, then it means the investment in actually developing these bypass mechanisms and fraud mechanisms is actually way above what telcos and carriers are actually investing to fight it. So today is a wake-up call, and one of the key things when you talk about AI and machine learning, then neural networks becomes very key, because with neural networks, you're actually able to penetrate and permeate and even pick some of these calls before they are blacklisted and coming up with automation. So when you look at this space, then there's quite a bit that can be done on top of collaboration, as has been called out. So thanks, Eric.
No, thank you, Andrew, for sharing with us, let's say, the situation you're facing in Africa. So, are you saying that let's say more investment, in let's say new software, next to it, more partnerships? Actually, that is something that Alan from Noble is actually providing to the world. If don't get me wrong, but it's just use it, play with it, have a look at it, evaluate it, and if it's good, then we'll let's talk about it. But so investments and partnerships from your side that will make already a big difference, because this is something that you're lacking, correct, Andrew?
Yes, I'd say from a global scan across the industry, this is something that is happening. And fraud is not only, let's say, for international voice, it happens across, from a telco perspective, there's fraud across all vectors. And what tends to happen is that basically most operators tend to guard their base revenue. They tend to protect them from losing what they think they're losing. But there's another aspect of what you do not know, you actually do not know. So that is the aspect where you actually need to invest and get the deeper truths and insights, which can tell you what potential revenue that is actually lacking. And also being the Industry 4.0 lead within the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, cybersecurity now comes to play a big role. So it is no longer about voice, no longer about just carrier services. Cybersecurity now needs to come and play a very integral role. And now that coupled with artificial intelligence and machine learning, then you pack a powerhouse. And like was stated earlier, you may not eliminate fraud 100%. However, with those two arsenals, you are closer to achieving 100%, if I can call it, than without them. So it's investment, whether it's in in-house skills, upskilling of staff, especially those who've been in the carrier business for long, to some of these new and disruptive technologies. And at times it could even call for hiring part of the gang to be actually in your business and help you to hack on a day-to-day basis. And of course, complemented by various tools, then you'd be at a closer level to actually get to a place where you'd be comfortable and say that you're actually earning the money that you need to earn on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Andrew. So Malik, my question to you as well: do you agree to the former speakers as well, with this former speakers as well, actually? And maybe you can tip a little bit more on, let's say, the commercial relevance, actually, of the fraud-related traffic in the industry.
Thank you, Eric. I may say the prior speakers has spotted really where the pains are. What I just can add in few words is that apart from voice, we see that the A2P messaging is also on the rise because it's a big revenue stream for the telco industry. And by the way, we are counting in billions of losses. So, and it's not easy to fight because it's utilizing weaknesses in the network and the way we manage our SMS centers and the global titles. This is also on the rise. The other one we see mainly in Europe, Aline started to browse it very quickly, is about what we call origin-based routing or origin-based fraud. And it's all related with a number and the originator spoofing and masquerading the call to avoid paying surcharge when it comes to intrazone manipulation. Coming to my fellow speakers, I think Andrew has mentioned something I consider very important, but I would just want to complete his speech saying that cybersecurity, yes, we see that fraud patterns and security patterns are converging more and more. And utilizing or exploiting the vulnerabilities at the network level. It can be at the voice over IP, SIP signaling. It could be utilizing bot machines or utilizing hacking techniques to generate traffic or to generate IRSF traffic. Is showing that cybersecurity, even if it is a big part of our defenses mechanisms, we need to join it with fraud. Cybersecurity per se, maybe I do not agree with or complementing Andrew. We need to think how we can leverage cybersecurity with fraud, because both of them are working on different levels of the network. Cyber is more directed to the network elements and not be able to handle sophisticated rules or sophisticated detection rules, where fraud is lacking the deeper levels of the technique of identifying intrusion detection models, or who is hacking what, who is penetrating what network in order to access the assets of the telco operators. So yes, Andrew, I agree with that, but we just need to think about how we can join forces between cybersecurity and anti-fraud. Now, coming to the commercials, I will be quick, Eric. You're right, and this is a point where we are joining industry level initiatives and individual operator initiatives. Aline has shown some numbers that are very important. The 2.18% revenue at risk at industry level are showing that really the bloodshed is still going on. And commercially, I think where the weaknesses are standing is that we think in the wholesale domain that conveying great traffic, not applying zero tolerance policy, saying that the more I send the minutes, the more I gain revenue, and whatever my commercial partners are, is the wrong way, because we need commercially to take actions, educate our sales people, saying that I gain 100 million revenue in sending minutes, but if 20% of the 100 is composed by great traffic, I'm not nurturing the virtuous cycle in the industry. The other thing is imposing to apply in contractual templates anti-fraud, let's say, responsibility. It's not widespread in the industry, but more and more we are coming to impose, let's say, that every operator take responsibility to have zero tolerance in the partnerships or commercial contracts. Last, we need also to fight the money flow, meaning the disputes. If you see the level of amount of disputes we have inside the industry, which means a money that is frozen because between carriers, we are disputing, this is fraud, I don't want to pay that, I already pay this, is at the heart of what commercially we need to do to cut the money flow, not going to the fraudsters. And it's not easy because we are talking about big money, sometimes 7 digits in dollars. So it's a big money. But anyway, I think with initiatives at the industry level, we can cooperate better to tackle this opportunistic phenomena that is fraud in the wholesale.
Thank you, Malik. But you know, just zoom in a little bit in on this one, and Nicholas was already mentioned this in his opening statement as well. I mean, you know, in the times where margins and revenues are under massive pressure, you know, many market players and even some operators, you know, continue showing, let's say, flexibility, supporting gray areas of the business. So I know it's quite difficult to talk about it, but I mean, we see this happening. So question to all you guys: what I mean, the ecosystem is, by having that, is being affected, and so my question will be, how can we as operators, let's say, protect ourselves? Maybe I come to you first, Alan. What can we do? I mean, as you mentioned, there are always people who like to cheat, who are lying, and who want to, crack businesses and whatsoever. So, and even within our own basket, some operators, some players, they do this, or even specialize in this. How can we try to wipe them out and to make our ecosystem a bit more healthy and how to protect ourselves? What can we do?
Well, first of all, recognizing the elephant in the room, that the problem is here, everybody's having it. And in the moment you are setting up the right incentive inside your company, in the moment you can do that. Yeah? Sometimes there are companies that may be having the direction, let's put it this way, imposed by external factors like the stock exchange or whatever. And that might make them to bend the rules sometimes, as Nicolas was saying, to break the trust just to gain some more volumes. As Malik also said, what about the commercial incentives and how to stop the money? And in the end, as long as people in the industry will have incentive and will have something to gain out of it, somebody will do it. And that's a fact. You cannot fight that one. What you can do is to work on all the levels that everybody was mentioning. Commercial, how you set up the commercial agreements, how you stop the flows of money, how do you secure that in the moment you are making a special deal operator to operator, you are not, somebody is not violating the trust, let's put it this way, to be mildly put it. On software and technical part, in the moment when you realize the fact and you have the, some companies are having a lot of nice developments, a lot of things, either talking about cybercrime, either talking about anti-fraud, or whatever types of approaches from operational technical software side, that if we will manage to put all that pool of knowledge somehow together without breaching, of course, the commercial and competitiveness between the industry, because to be honest, we are partners, but at the same time, everybody has to make its own meats. So if we manage to put that one together, then we have a chance. And just to close, I'm just referring what Andrew was saying earlier. It's not just the revenue that we are losing, or the revenue that gets lost to the fraudster. It's also the customer experience. Because right now, the customers are not just choosing between telco A, telco B. They are choosing between telco A, telco B, and a lot of OTT A, B, C, D, Z, which are free and are providing sometimes a better service, a better product. So if we don't curtail the fraud, the quality of the product and the servicing of our customers is suffering. And not to mention that in the moment a call is bypassed and is reaching a third party, a fraudster, the data of your customer might be exposed. And then who knows where can that lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicolas. What is your position in this one? What I mean, can you add a little bit to Alan, and maybe link it a little bit more to because the impression that I have and what I hear from a lot of companies which I talk to is that we are all we are all trying to find a solution for it. But isn't it true that sometimes even, for instance, to look at, let's say, to the security solution vendors, even in the IT, or in the banking, because I mean a lot of things are similar to the banking system as well, because they're facing a lot of fraud as well, even if it's less, but and they're 10 times as big in the financial sector, but still. I mean, it's as if I'm listening to people who I'm talking to in the financial crisis in 2007, 2008. So it's sort of the same. So should we not open up a little bit more and even next to finding our own solution by our own IT guys and cybersecurity guys and our experts, but also look a little bit more ahead or a bit wider to see what's out there actually, a solution from maybe some security vendors. How are you tackling it?
Well, I mean, let's just try to go back maybe 20 years or so, where this whole telecom industry is all bilateral, it's two-party, A and B and full stop, and then came along wholesale with the market deregulate, and that's where the whole problem, or so to speak, there's opportunity, whichever way you look at it, started, right? I mean, the boom of the wholesale operators and carriers, and it just went up the roof, and there goes the point A to point B sort of exclusivity, sort of trust level that is being built back in the G2G days when there's government to government, two countries trading traffic. And, it's the nature of the business. We can't really change the fact that, market deregulate, wholesale exists, and wholesale exists because information are never perfect, because you know something that the other person doesn't. You have a deal that the other person doesn't. That's where wholesale thrives, and as you go along. As I mentioned earlier, the trust level at some point through this journey is somewhat lost or being challenged. Responsible operators and carriers are trying very hard and to remain that I am a trusted party by delivering the result, delivering the quality that's being proven, and rightfully they will maintain to be a leader in this space. Now, again, I think there are thousands, if not, of wholesale carriers around the world out there, and it's never quite the same. They're not equal. Even on the operator perspective, right? I mean, there are different sizes of operators around the world, right? Given the declining margin that we all talk about from operator perspective, or double-digit decline because of the threat of OTTs, we're not going to go there. Right?
It becomes tempting. It becomes tempting to,
it becomes
to be
tempting.
flexible.
That's one. On the other aspect as well, the management will look at it and say, listen, I'm seeing a double-digit drop in my margin year on year. Why should I invest more? Now, that's another complete, opposite of the consideration. Would you invest more into a business, particularly in the hardware, capex model, to protect an industry that has been sliding down on a really rapid manner? Now, of course, it's not for me to say yes or no, but this is the consideration that a lot of smaller, or lack of a future-proofing, kind of a company would feel that way. Now, again, what we look at it and how do we want to solve the problem is slightly, it's a combination of what, our fellow panelists have shared there. We like to pursue on the matter of transparency. We want to try to go back to the good old days where we want to enable the sender, buyer perspective, to be able to connect directly to the other end, the operator, the network owner, without breaking down if there is a need for a middle operator, or at least a responsible operator will be, a wholesale carrier will be able to play a role in this platform. So what we're doing is we are pushing forward a transparent public connectivity exchange. So it's full transparency out there, and the idea is to allow members, or in this case, the operator, network owner, or the enterprise themselves, to be able to talk to each other, to be able to, inquire and see traffic going from A to B directly. Now, as matter of doing that, we addressing the fraud matter. We want to offer through partners. In this case, here we're talking obviously with Alan here, the possibility of adding software as a service, in this case, on top of the exchange marketplace. So any operators who may not be able to offer a capex model, to be sitting down in their on-prem, they are feel free to come in and work alongside with our partners, in this case here, and said, listen, route your traffic through this, you'll be point A to point B directly, but it will be monitored and filtered. It will be doing all the good stuff that a software can do to protect the network themselves. So this is the direction that we are moving forward, at least in a way to address this particular fraud concern here, Eric.
Okay, Nicholas, thank you. Do you already have, let's say, some positive results of, let's say, the collaboration between between a couple of parties, where you say, okay, due to the transparency and or due to let's say the help of your platform, you know, you had the possibility to tackle some fraud? Do you have already some? Was it fruitful, or is it fruitful?
No, not yet. We are launching our marketplace in next month. But through the conversation that we have with the enterprises and the operators themselves specifically, there are, you know, tremendous interest, you know, for simply sake of being able to obviously connect directly and, you know, reducing the layer and be able to transparently see the traffic going to where it's supposed to go, you know, minus any potential hop per se, or potential interjection of fraudulent traffic in this case. Now, that is under the assumption, obviously, that, you know, as an operator in this case here, you know, connecting to the end enterprise or an OTTs or whatever that is, there will be a direct hop in there. There will be a clear intent to send the actual organic retail traffic that they have to each other.
Okay, Andrew, for Safaricom, I mean, is the fraud the fraud the biggest threat for also for being next to other services also, but for being a voice carrier? Is that the biggest threat you're seeing?
Thanks for that question, Eric. And I'll answer for Safaricom, like in any other business, of course, fraud continues to be an issue and to be tackled day by day, basically to address it. And yes, it is a threat, but it is not a death sentence. Let me put it that way. And when looking at these issues, I'd like us to walk a timeline of carrier services, basically. And I remember previously when the first transatlantic line was set up between the US and Europe during that time. If you've gone through the history, basically, the internet was not seen as something very reliable. So you needed to have a fixed sort of connection. And out of there is where we've had carrier businesses actually coming up, talking about things like quality of services, reliability, trust. So on the open internet, you would not get this traditionally. And that's where the value of the wholesale carrier business actually was hinged upon. Today, with advancement in compute power, cloud services, undersea cables linking all the continents, and basically having applications that can mimic things up to a trust level, the concept of cybersecurity, then there's sort of an alternative to the reliability, the QoS, the trust that the carrier business has. And one question to really ask yourself is, what does the customer need? The customer just needs to pick up a phone, pick up a gadget, make a call, and hear party B answering on the other side. Now, there could be issues of security, trust, but the ordinary customer, and even speaking for some of the customers in Africa, so long as you can guarantee that, then the rest of the things sort of are left to chance, and which is what we're actually discussing today. So when you look at the customer needs, when you come to Africa, the median age is about 19 to 20 years. Now, when you look at this type of a customer, and they're actually more than 50% of the customers, then a question is, the carrier and wholesale business as set up currently, does it speak to this customer? So that is sort of the bigger worry and challenge than actually trying to chase a revenue which might continue declining or might hold steady or might never quite grow. So by focusing on the customer, looking at the ecosystem, then it's also a high time, other than just protecting from fraud and the rest, is it a time now to actually disrupt and evolve the whole wholesale carrier business? And it's a question actually I've posed. to everyone. It's food for thought. But other than that, like I said, employing cybersecurity, AI, fraud, and the rest to basically protect the base that we have. Thanks, Eric.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrew. Malik, what's your view on it? I mean, you know,
Yeah.
how big is our ecosystem affected? How big is the challenge actually that the operators are facing? But moreover, do you think or do you agree that maybe we should look as well at the contribution from security solution vendors to help us with this? I mean, iBasis and I mean, with the Tufan being part of the Tufan group is a global player. So, what can you share with us?
I can share my thoughts and my experience on that. I may start saying that what Nicholas is saying as a perspective on doing a horizontal interconnection by allowing A and B to talk directly is challenging, but it's a good way also to enrich what we are doing. But at the same time, the global carriers that are able to leverage and to drive down the cost of interconnection and to spread connectivity is still needed in the industry. And the way that iBasis is becoming a global carrier, independent from any brand, is that when I came to iBasis as the VP, my roadmap was very clear. Alexandre Pebro, our CEO, said, okay, I'm going to consolidate the market, but the condition is being the trusted partner, meaning your duty is to install zero tolerance policy by any means, because fraud is not anymore something we can tolerate. So going by volumes to consolidate the market and at the same time installing the zero tolerance policy by means, meaning by techno, by process, and by supporting at sea level is something we are developing. Now, coming back to what we said about how the market is evolving and the threats, we are entering in new territories of 5G and machine-to-machine and IoT, where cybersecurity risks are not only black or white hearts behind the screens trying to challenge. No, we are in organized crime. And this challenging new disruption about technology is becoming more and more important, structured, and we need to be prepared to join forces between anti-fraud and security issues. And where I call attention of the security and cybersecurity providers is that the success, and I hope that Andrew and Aline will join positively what I'm saying. The key success factor is based on how can you leverage between security, IAM, SOC, network incident access management, meaning the intrusion and ID spoofing methods in security with anti-fraud algorithms, all that joining together and be creative in inventing something new, not anymore running security at his side, anti-fraud at his side, but joining both in a very effective way. Last thing, please. Just last is we are forgetting a key player, which is the regulator. And for me, it's just a matter of hope that Aline started saying banking is much more regulated than telecom. That's true. But we see more and more regulators like in the US, in Europe, coming in the field and saying, hey guys, we don't want any more robocalling. We don't want any more the customer being bothered by phishing, by spamming, by wangery. And on top of that, they're installing new regulations that are obliging, even in the USA, they are obliging carriers by subpoena to reveal who is the customer sending the bad traffic. Initially, we have by contract not to disclose, okay? And that was a weakness. Nowadays, we can be obliged by the regulator. So things are moving positively, and I think we are on the good track. And that's what I wanted to share.
Okay, thank you so much for giving us and sharing your thoughts a little bit about the future and coming to let's say that last point. And I'm happy to hear again. And you did mention it literally, but transparency is a very key thing, which we will have to provide actually as operators to one another and to the regulator as well. So Andrew, from your point of view, some last words. So what do you foresee in the near future to come or to hit us? What should we do?
Okay. Thanks, Eric. Like I said before, there's investment because this is a big billion-dollar industry that is trying actually to take advantage of revenues that were solely enjoyed by telecoms and carrier providers. So what we're expecting is that with the advent of computing, machine learning, application development, advances in cybersecurity, and remember the same people who are actually advancing things in cybersecurity, part of them are actually the bad actors. So the world is actually changing at a rapid pace. The tools to actually effect some of these things are becoming very readily available. You can actually go to a repository on the internet, and soon you'll be able to do a robocall that could span the whole of Africa and Europe. So with this, it's a wake-up call also to the players in the industry, from regulators to the operators to the wholesale carriers, to also step up their game and ensure that they are not only playing catch-up, but also actually driving advances and being ahead of the game. That would be one of it. Then from the other aspect, looking at it from the customer as well, to actually anticipate the customer's needs. The customer has changed from 20, 25 years ago. So the business models actually, it's a good time to start thinking, how could this evolve and how could this transform into the future? So it's a lot of food for thought. And if we come together, the experts, the regulators, the industries, and some of these hackers, they are called reformists, who are willing to reform. If we can put our heads together, then we can start coming up with methods that will ensure that we protect the revenue that we currently know that we have, and we are able to even gain revenue that we didn't know that we actually could have been making. So thanks, Eric. Back to you.
Okay, thank you for your thoughts, Nicholas. Wrapping it up now, and before I come to, let's say, the closing statement from Alan, Nicholas, what do you see coming? Okay, do you also see it, let's say, as Malik and Andrew said, there is a positive twist to this?
Definitely. I mean, I think we're in one of those cases where we can never give up. A bit like software and your antivirus thing. It's a constant, moving goalpost. I guess we're constantly chasing that goal here. I think we are in a good position if there is a right model of collaboration or cost sharing, a common objective in this case here. With the advent of technologies and with the advent of the machine learning, I think definitely we can control it to some degree. I can't say that it will be completely removed, and that's not going to happen in this time of day here. And also, like I said earlier, we believe in a transparency model and trying to keep it as honest as possible between buyer and the seller in this case here, so that hopefully in time it should reduce the amount of distrust, the amount of that's been happening in the industry for quite some time now, unfortunately. Yeah, I think that's what how we feel about this, Eric.
Okay, thank you, thank you, Nicholas. So, Alan, as to wrap it up and to close it, the session, what do you see it positively?
Of course. Well, as I see it, is in the following way. There are things outside there that we cannot control and we cannot foresee. As Andrew said, what are the things that we do not know? We don't know what we do not know. Same time, working and having the collaboration. Anyways, in this day and age, the paradigm of protecting your own assets and having it as a competitive edge is not applying on these matters in my perspective. Being the fact that we are sharing between us the blacklists, or being the fact that we are transparent on from where and where the traffic is going. And as Malik pointed out, in US already you are forced to disclose that one. So in terms of regulations, they are much more ahead of us. Here again is a discussion about the fair competition, because as I said, we are not just competing with telcos between each other. There is something out there on internet which is facilitating other new players and competitors. And we also how this gesture starts to disappear in the moment we are doing this one. Yeah. So the OTTs are also our competitions. So in the end, it's about revenues, it's about collaboration, it's about doing the things that you can influence or control, and all the time having in the center what your customer needs and wants. And that's it.
Okay, I think that's a very clear closing statement. And let me finalize this session, ladies and gentlemen out there. And again, thank you for staying with us for the last hour. Because we were discussing we were discussing the fraud actually, and how we and the increasing threat of it, and actually what to do about it, or to do as good as possible about it. I would like to thank my my fellow panelists, Nicholas from Telin, Malik from iBasis, and Andrew from Safaricom, and Alan, of course, CEO from Nobel, also the sponsor of this CC webinar live session. Gentlemen, it has been an honor talking to you, and thank you for sharing your thoughts to us and the world out here. Actually, I know that that all the people can contact you because you can be contactable, and so if they have any questions, they can they come to you. For me, I would say again, thank you very much for everybody, to everybody, and thank you for joining out there. Please come back, and because with the Carry community, we have a lot of more of these webinars coming up in the coming months. So thank you for joining. Thank you to my panelists. It has been an honor. And I would say ciao for now, and over to Aurelia at the studio, actually, in Berlin. So thank you, everybody, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric. Dear all, we are at the end of this webinar session. On behalf of Carry community, I would like to thank Nobel for sponsoring this session, Alin German for sharing his presentation, our panelists, Nicholas, Malik, and Andrew, for sharing their knowledge with us, and of course, Eric for moderating this session. Dear audience, I hope you found this session interesting and you enjoyed time spent with us. We are looking forward to welcoming you at the upcoming webinar sessions on the 2nd and 12th of November. Please visit our event portal for more information. If you are interested in sponsoring one of our future webinar sessions or events, please contact CC team for more details. Recorded version of this session will be published in our media portal soon. Please make sure you follow us on social media not to miss it. Thank you all again. Stay safe and healthy. Bye for now.